Hello everyone, this is CoolPro195 and welcome to part 10 of Let's Play Crash Bandicoot Sane Trilogy for the PlayStation 4, and it's time to start the second game. And some of you may be thinking, how come we're seeing this startup sequence yet again when we've already seen it in part 1? Well, I figured that it would be nice to have this startup sequence for when I introduce each game. Therefore it adds a nice bit of consistency to the Let's Play. So anyways, let's jump right into the game, and the last trophy I got within the Let's Play is the Intrepid Crash Bandicoot, as you can see right there, as my most recent trophy. And now let's jump right into Crash Bandicoot Sane Trilogy. Oh, by the way people, I've gone back to using my Elgato Game Capture HD60S, considering I've been having problems with the 4K 60 Pro as of recently. Just didn't want to pick up the signal, but you know. But anyways, let's not dwell on that. It's nice to see this opening sequence once again. Alright, here we are, back at the title screen. Let's go right. Man, I can't wait to start Crash 2, it's gonna be so sick. Like, all the detail that they put into this, it's just fucking fantastic. The game we will be starting off in part 10 is That's right people, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, the second game in this AAA remastered trilogy, and part 10 is a really nice round number to start off the next game, don't you think? And I love the theme tune, I love the remastered theme tune for Crash 2 as well, it sounds so sick. Man, and the adventures ahead, like this game offers such a great adventure, and yeah, I figured I'd let the theme tune play before we, you know, get further into it. And I gotta say, before I start off, it was great completing Crash 1, but now, time to start off the second adventure, where, you know, it's more or less an easier game, and it's also the game that improved everything that was wrong with Crash 1, but you know, in general, Crash 2 was actually a better game, even in the AAA remastered than Crash 1, but anyways, enough going on, let's jump right into Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back.
Crystals, of course. No!
But Dr. Cortex, to reach full power, we need not only your master crystal, but also the remaining 25 slave crystals from the surface. How do you expect to retrieve them when we don't have any Earthbound operatives left?
You fool! Do you think I'm unaware of the situation? If we don't have any friends left on the surface, then we'll need to find an enemy.
Crash! 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 Make yourself useful, big brother, and bring an extra battery for me.
And here we are, starting off with Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, and some of you have seen that Coco is watching Uncharted 4 on her laptop, which is, by the way, a reference that they removed for, you know, the release of Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy coming on the rest of the platforms. Which is, you know, quite interesting, but at the same time, it makes sense due to licensing reasons. Because, you know, Uncharted is still officially licensed to Sony, so it makes sense why they would just replace the reference with just the Crash 1 intro. But yeah, anyways, Crash 2 has introduced two new moves. It introduces the slide move and the body slam. And right here is just an intro level. It's really... like, the intro level doesn't really count towards the percentage completion, but you know, it's nice that they have a little intro section anyway before we reach into the warp room. And there's the portal right there. You know, I remember back in the day, like a long time ago, I did this glitch where I skipped the portal in the original as I was emulating the Japanese version of Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, the original for the PS1. And this was on my old PC where the emulator was sort of glitched and stuff as well, but you know, of course I won't be able to do it here since it's kind of like fixed. But you know, it would be interesting to skip that in Insane Trilogy if I was able to. Okay, now we're gonna jump right into the warp room for the first time. So I'll just be silent for the cutscene.
Well. If it isn't Crash Bandicoot, welcome. I apologize for the crude means used to bring you here, but I'd rather expect a written invitation would have been turned down. I need your help. Surrounding you are a series of 5 doors. Through each door lies a well-hidden crystal. The crystals look like this. Bring me the crystals, Crash. That is all I will say for now. We will speak again.
Now, I gotta say, the visual effects of that cutscene look amazing, especially with the warp room. Now, as you can see, it's the same warp room that I remember, but they have, like, really made it look amazing, and the music sounds fantastic. Da, 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 da. And as you see over here, this would usually be the load and save screen in the original, but now, as you can see, below, it calls the function for the L2 button as the save and load feature. Why? Because, I'll tell you why, because now they're using this area right here as the portal for when you enter the boss fight, which is, you know, an interesting change that they made. Especially, it makes more sense as well because now that, you know, they've introduced the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy introduces an autosave feature, it makes more sense to the save system. But anyways, let's go right into Turtle Woods Level 1. Level 1, Turtle Woods, at the first game. But before we actually make any progression, I'd like to showcase a little Easter egg. And it also leads towards getting a trophy in the game as well. And we do this by doing one of the funniest things that you can do in Crash 2. And that's pissing off Dr. Neo Cortex in the first warp room. By the way, bear in mind this only works if you've not completed a single level. So, before you get your first crystal or gem, make sure you do this if you really want to piss off Cortex in the first warp room. And yes, the only place you can piss him off as well, so yeah. By the way, you gotta do this 3 times in order to earn the trophy and, you know, get into it.
Crash. I said bring me the crystals. Now get back in there.
Okay, so that's the first time round, and yeah, after the third time he will not remind you anymore, so since that was a thing in the original, you know, it was nice that Vicarious Visions, well, Sony, Activision and Vicarious Visions have decided to make this like a trophy, which I gotta say is really interesting, and you know, it adds more, like, it gives people more of a reason to explore the game for its depths as well. Yeah, I'm trying to say depths, but you know, consistently without trying to trip over my words, but you know, well, not technically trip over my words, but you know what I mean. Stuff sucks sometimes.
No, Crash. To save the world, I need crystals. Crystals! One more time. They look like this. Crystals, Crash. Go back through one of those doors and bring me crystals.
Okay, this is the final time we're doing this now, in order to get the trophy. Yeah, we will get to progression soon, just bear with me. Also, another piece of detail that I like how they redesigned the pause menu for each game. Especially for Crash 2, where you actually see, you know, the leaves moving. Like, there's definitely a lot of frames and animation put into that, which is really interesting.
Look up at the doorways. There is a big crystal-shaped slot. Fill all 5 crystal slots in this warp room by retrieving 1 crystal from each of the 5 areas. Only after we have filled all of the slots in this room can we continue on our quest. This is the last time I remind you.
Like I said, after the third time is the last time he reminds you. And just like that, we got the Cortex Infuriated trophy, PSN trophy, for Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back within Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy. And yet another difference that I didn't point out yet is that in the original, as you see like the slots for the crystals and gems that you collect for each level, in the original they would usually be at the top next to the level name, but as you can see in this AAA remastered build, they put the name of the levels in the middle of the top section above the portals, and they put the slots alongside instead. And also obviously they've introduced an extra slot for the relics, which is interesting. But anyways, yeah, now let's jump right into Turtle Woods and actually begin with progression this time. And it's gonna be really fun playing through all these levels, like AAA remastered. Okay, now, you guys know how originally, by getting a gem, you would break all the boxes, right? Well, what I'm doing right now is that you can clearly see that I'm missing all the boxes as I am aiming for the blue gem, and for this level in particular, the blue gem requires you to go throughout the entire level missing every single box possible, and that includes and I mean any box. I mean life crates, question mark boxes, checkpoint crates, Akraku crates, you name it. on here you gotta be careful, but you know, I recommend you bounce on this so then you don't actually break the box. Oh yeah, and over here, if you fall down into these pits, you fight these moles, and as soon as you've killed all these moles, a mushroom spawns. Well, it's kind of funny how it doesn't spawn exactly in the middle, but you know, it's a nice detail. However, the details of the rain also look nice as well, which, you know, I gotta give them credit for. Well, there is a way to skip these pits, as you've just seen. You can skip them entirely, but at the same time, you also can get yourself, like, above. Oh yeah, and on the way, we can collect our first crystal. In the original, it's much easier to actually skip, you know, like, these pit sections, as you can easily, like, jump on the sides, but in the AAA remastered build you can't. And just like that, we have our blue gem. And yet we've also collected our very first crystal, so now what I'm gonna do is kill myself. Why? Because now we're gonna go through the entire level properly, smashing all the boxes in order to get our first clear gem. And I gotta say, the environments, they look so amazing. I mean, the detail in these environments, in comparison to Crash 1, it looks so much better. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Crash 1 looks amazing, but you know, Crash 2 literally takes it to the next level entirely. And the fact that I get to use these new moves, you know, it's even more immersive to the gameplay style. I mean, yeah, you use them in the original as well, but yeah, anyways, now over here, some of you are wondering what this is. Well, this is actually a secret path in the level, and the only way we can access this is by doing a body slam. And we access our first secret path in the game, although this isn't one of those death paths that you earn a gem in. It's basically just one of those paths that you have just more boxes to smash, if you catch my drift. But you know, this is a nice simple section. And also, by the way, since, as some of you guys know, that I'm also like a professional and also at the same time a speedrunner at Crash Bandicoot, I have some tricks to show you guys for those of you who are new to the game. And also, these new moves really come in handy for situations like this. And what I just did there was a slide spin jump, which gives you a really high, it gives you a lot of height in your jump, and therefore less of a chance in landing in those nitros. And yeah, I have to smash that box, otherwise I won't be able to get the gem. And yeah, and if those flamingos, if you stand on top of them, like, you better react quickly before they put their head in the ground. But then again, it's not too late, because there's also a trick to get back up there. All you need to do is do a slide spin jump and voila, you made it. So all is not lost. And just like that, this area is complete. And I love the detail that they really put into this. I mean, Crash 2, well, obviously Crash 2 in general had more vibrant, and it had like more vibrant areas in comparison to Crash 1, which is really interesting. And here we are entering our first bonus round in Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, and we earn the trophy A Road Less Travelled. And this is our first, you know, underground bonus round that we enter, like, for the first time within the franchise, let alone like Crash 2. And that was a very piss easy bonus round. It's one of the easiest bonus rounds to ever do, but you know, the first ones are always easy. Oh yeah, and you know, spinning one enemy into another to get one per fruit, that's still a thing. That is still a thing in Insane Trilogy, and I'm glad it is. Although it does suck how, like, whenever in this AAA remastered build, when you chain, like, whenever you try and chain, like, you know, oh yeah, there's an extra box up here that, you know, it's easy to miss. On the original, there would originally be a life in that crate, but, you know. There is a way to skip it entirely, and yeah, that's how you do it. And yeah, the camera also does spaz out whenever you skip it. And yeah, I just landed on the edge right there, but you know. It's just you gotta time the jump perfectly as well. And there's our first clear gem that we've collected.
Well done, Crash. I knew I could rely on you. Now listen carefully. These holograms are hard to maintain. During the course of my intellectual pursuits, I have stumbled across a force that threatens to destroy the world. The crystals are the only means of containing it. The fate of the world is at stake. It is imperative, therefore, that you bring them to me.
Are you there, Crash? Crash! Crash! Are you there, Crash?
And there's Coco trying to get into the system. Oh yeah, and as you complete a level by retrieving its crystal, you actually see the times come up. And Crash does his dance again. Second time in a row after you get the gems, but you know, I gotta say, the gems look nice over there, to be honest. I might as well enable this slot. I don't know how it got disabled in the first place, but you know. Anyways, now moving on to the second level in the game, Snow Go. And the snow stages, they look amazing. Look how vibrant they made everything. I mean, in comparison to the original, like these snow levels, they really glow. Which is, you know, an awesome feature, in my opinion. Not only that, but you know, everything alongside it, as in like the crystals. Like the crystals within the walls, they actually glow more than they do in the original. Which, you know, it really brings out the level's colour more. It's like the enhancement on like the whole turquoise atmosphere and everything. It looks so much better. Like the aesthetics are just so amazing. Like, there's no way. Oh yeah, by the way, in the original you would see that there's a red gem that's lower down there, but now as you can see in the AAA remastered trilogy, you can't get that red gem anymore. Like, you can't get that red gem by doing that trick in this AAA remastered trilogy. So, now they want you to do everything legit. Well, of course they wanted to do everything legit in the original as well, but now they're making sure that people don't cheat. By actually, you know, getting that gem. Like, by using that trick. Yeah, another easy bonus round. Oh yeah, by the way, like, for these ice physics, they do feel so different. They feel different in this AAA remastered trilogy, like for Crash 2, and in that area where you slide spin, well not slide spin, where when you're like sliding on the ice. Because of these physics, stopping just so you can get a precise move, it doesn't 100% help you. Because the ice physics they feel more heavy like when you stop. Which is, weird as fuck. So like, whenever you're moving along, and you just want to jump, you just want to go straight and then jump, you don't want to waste any time. And yeah, we needed that exclamation mark crate up there so we can fill in those 2 additional crates. And that's no-go complete for now. Until we backtrack through the secret entrance in order to get the red gem. And Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. It's also one of my favourite games that I love to complete 100%.
You are helping Cortex gather crystals. Yet you have acquired a gem. Interesting. Well, Crash, know this. As long as you are allied with Cortex, you are my sworn enemy, and I will do anything in my power to stop you. If the fate of the world is truly your concern, you must gather the gems, not the crystals. If you obtain all 42 gems, I can use them to focus a laser. Yes, a laser beam that will destroy Cortex and the space station he has created. Until then, I must use my forces to stop you from gathering crystals.
Okay, Brio sounded even more constipated than he did in the original. That's a fact. Especially, the emphasis on, like the stuttering and retardation that's going on with him. It makes it even more hilarious, but even though it's not 100% necessary, it does add to, the way he is in a way. But anyways, moving on to Hang 8. Oh yeah, by the way, by 100% obviously, I'm gonna be getting all the crystals and gems first, and after I've, showcased the alternate ending where you actually have all the crystals and gems, I will be doing the relics afterwards. Anyways, now we're in level 3, Hang 8, and this is the first level, the first ever level that was showcased for Crash 2 in Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy, and the first time this level was showcased was at PAX East 2017, or PAX West. Oh yeah, and we gotta get the first, as you can see that time clock right there, that timer represents like the amount of time you have left in order to get to the end of the level, because that sets a goal for you to get the time gem within this level. Just go through it as fast as I can. But yeah, the first time seeing this, it was amazing. And also, they did change the music. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, I was gonna talk about the timer itself. And here we are, the time gem. And now, I'm gonna kill myself. Just like I did in the first level. But yeah, one difference that I've noticed with the timer, like with the PAX East 2000 and, with the PAX East or PAX West, whatever it was, 2017, like beta footage of level 3 Hang 8 for Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, where it says like 1 minute, instead of 1 minute, it said 60 seconds, but now they actually changed it to 1 minute, because, it makes more sense that way. I mean, they were gonna change it eventually. As a matter of fact, there were certain things that they did actually change like when the game was still work in progress. Like for example, the portal warping animation. It used to be more like, they used to have it more like the original Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. But then, you know, where it was all like basic. But now, like they actually have like a more floaty sort of animation where like Crash sort of levitates before he actually lands within, you know, the warp zone that he's at, before he, you know, enters the actual level. This music is amazing, I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, also, a clear difference is obviously the music as well. Like, in the PAX, I'm just gonna say PAX 2017 footage, and yeah, we're entering the death path now, which we've unlocked by getting the blue gem in Turtle Woods. A diamond in the rough. Indeed. It's nice how you can see more, like in the background when you enter the death path as well, which is even more interesting. And yeah, as I was gonna say about the music. Oh fuck. Okay, that was cheap. Well, first time I died in this shit, but you know. But still not bad for the amount of lives I have, considering how I'm doing. But yeah, you can see more in the background than you do in the original, because when you enter this area in the original, you see more of like, you know, a black, well not a black screen, but you see like some of the level geometry just like still rendering, and part of it is just like blank. But yeah, you gotta be careful with the jumps as well, because whoa, okay, I pressed jump early, but then it just sort of delayed. But you know, it's how this AAA remastered trilogy is like with its engine. It does suck. But yeah, the original, you know, they really improved a lot in terms of like rendering and everything. And the waterfall details look fantastic. Okay, yeah, that is a wiser option. You know, considering you can't be too careful with this, you know, with the Havoc engine. It's like us veterans gotta learn the game all over again. Well, oh, for fuck's sake. You know, that is a common problem as well, but you know, it's a good thing I have. Like, I nearly fell off as well. It's a good thing that I have that checkpoint. There we go. You know, usually I'd make it past that first time as well, but you know, this shit happens. I have these surfboards right here. Like, it's not that hard to control, it just takes a bit of getting used to. Well, okay, I nearly launched myself right into that mine there. Okay, rookie mistake, never launch yourself into mines. And yeah, there's a jumping trick in order to get there, but you know, it's not essential to the completion, so there's really no point in doing that. But anyways, yeah. Alright, now we're back to the main level after completing the death path for all the boxes that it contains. And yeah, the tricks that I'm doing, you skip like certain sections of platforms as well, which is, you know, really cool. Now, as I was gonna say about the music before, you know, all these like a few minor piss takes came along, like, they didn't, like, I'd say in comparison from the beta footage to the final game, they've certainly added layers from the original. Yeah, now we have both gems, but yeah, in comparison to the original, to the beta footage in the final version, they've added layers from the original game's soundtrack to like the newly composed track that they made for the AAA remastered build, which is, you know, quite interesting. The beta track sounded nice for what it was worth, but you know, the improvements they added, it does fit the bill. It really does fit the bill for the level and to keep it true to the original.
Crystals. Not bad. I see you are getting the hang of it. I need to conserve power. I will communicate with you again after you retrieve the 5th crystal.
Okay, just like that we beat Hang 8. And yeah, it's nice how you get the running shoes, like the speed shoes in Crash 2 as well, which is, you know, this game has a more generous treatment than Crash 1 as well, even though Crash 1 was the most heavily tweaked. But you know, speedrunning Hang 8, like this guy got like 39 seconds and some people be like, how the fuck does he get 39 seconds, like without, like so fast? By just, you know, slide spinning and shit like that. Obviously, the speed shoes helped him. And that's exactly why I'm gonna do the relics after I have all the crystals and the gems. Because they help a lot, and they make the time trials easier as well. And it's something they could have added to Crash 1, and they actually could have. But it's just something they didn't do. And yeah, people, we're at another one of those jungle levels that we're in, but as you can see, like the weather that they base this around is different. Because now it has like more of a sunset. It's like more set around like the climate where there's a sunset. Like, it's not raining like in this level. It's like there's a sunset, like glowing upon, you know, the jungle itself, which is, you know, interesting. And the fact that they made it more elaborate in this AAA remastered trilogy really says a lot. Like, it says so much. And yeah, chaining 2 enemies in one go. Like, I wish that still gets your Wumpa Fruit just like it does in the original. But it doesn't. You can't get an additional Wumpa Fruit. Oh yeah, by the way, just in case I die, I'm not gonna get that checkpoint just yet, because I'm just gonna smash these extra boxes. Because as you saw earlier, there is a split path. Yeah, I'm just gonna spin this guy into him to get an additional Wumpa Fruit. Because obviously we're gonna have to go around the other area to get the crystal and come back here because over there's an exclamation mark crate on the other side to fill in these 2 crates, which turn out to be life crates. And I'm just gonna kill this son of a bitch before we come back here. And that clears up this area really nicely. I mean, you can do it the other way around if you want to, but I'm kind of doing it this way for the sake of personal nostalgia. Yeah, and coming back, of course, you gotta be cautious for holes, like pits and everything. And yeah, you guys, you see me doing stuff like slide spinning like every so often in Crash 2, because, you know, as I've mentioned before, in a way I have speedrun the original before, and speedrunning Sane Trilogy is kind of the same, and this slide spinning technique is called the neutral slide spin. And basically, like, you kind of gain more speed as you're sliding, like when you spin at the end of the slide. Whoa, okay. That was fucked up. And the crystals, they glow. I like how they added a really cool glowing effect to the crystal. Oh, this turtle doesn't go backwards and forwards, it goes from left to right in this AAA remastered trilogy. I don't know, I think it's something they decided to change to make the level more user-friendly, but, you know, more easier for the player. But either way, it doesn't make a difference for me. Well, it does sort of make it easier, but at the same time, that turtle going backwards and forwards, like, it really doesn't make it any harder for me as, you know, especially as a professional. And here we are, in another one of these bonus rounds right here. Now, one thing I've noticed about this bonus round, like the music for these underground jungle bonus rounds in particular, is that, now, it's nice how they remastered them, but, you know, but there's like an obvious, like, you know, fault in it that, okay, well that was very cheap, but yeah, as I was gonna say, there's an obvious fault in the track that's like, where, you know, the bass line of it is out of sync. Well, it's out of sync by like an entire section, which you expect it to play in certain areas, but, you know, the fact that it's like that, you know. I mean, they did what they did and we can't change it. Yeah, it was really cheap that I died there, to be honest. And I made it. And yeah, slide spin jumping is awesome. Like, you can easily do that. You can use the slide spin jump by getting yourself across like I did earlier, which is, you know, a professional trick that you can do. And yeah, the way Crash like repositions himself. And yeah, backtracking to get those 2 life crates. I'll just spin him into him. Man, I'm really making this easy for myself. And just like that, we've completed the pits as well. Yeah, I sincerely apologize for that bullshit cough, but you know, just Elgato being Elgato. Alright, now moving on to level 5, Crash Dash, the final level of the first warp room. Where, by the way, I will be recording warp room per part for Crash 2, and the same will go for Crash 3 as well. Yeah, Crash Dash. Hint, sliding can help you move faster. It sure can, as you've been seeing, especially slide spinning, which is really interesting. And yeah, it's another one of these dash stages, and while I like how the hint tells you to use the analog stick and circle to slide instead of like the back button on the D-pad like you can in the original. And yeah, you gotta avoid all these mines here. And yeah, this is uncharted territory taken to the next level. This time it's uncharted territory in ruins where snow is drying up. Watch out for these electric gates as well. Yeah, they really upped the ante on these. Yeah, sometimes you can't bounce on that crate when you're standing on it. Well, you can only bounce on it when you're on the side, but when you're in the middle, like, it doesn't bounce in this AAA remastered trilogy. I love the details, like, of the snow on the boulder. It's like, it doesn't just look like a blue ball in the original, although the details weren't that bad in the original, but obviously they've enhanced it in here. And here are the planks where the boulder goes down. and that way the boulder can't reach us. Oh, and here's the crystal right here. Okay, now entering the bonus round. Now the music for these bonus rounds in particular, like, you can tell that they've added an extra layer to the track, and when I first entered this bonus round, like when I first played it and heard this track, I almost didn't recognize the tune because of that extra layer, but then obviously, like, I started listening to it more in depth, and you know, it's become more clear to me, cause you know, like, in the original, it would sound like, it would just go dun 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 da 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 dun 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 da 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 da, and in here they added like an extra layer that goes da 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 da, which makes it in a way sounds like circus music, as you can hear in the background. Oh, by the way, the aesthetics of this bonus round right here, they look amazing. I love how the sun is glowing through the trees. Some people find that annoying. I find it hilarious how they added like that extra layer on top of the track. But yeah, I almost didn't recognize the track when I first heard it, cause you know, I was like, hang on, it never used to sound like that. But then, you know, obviously, you know, to AAA remaster, they're bound to change some things, especially things that we don't expect to be changed. Oh yeah, one thing I really don't like is how, you know, the crates, when you smash a crate, you don't automatically get the contents inside of them, in some of them, which you really should do, like those in particular. Because in the original, they would come straight to you after you smash them, but obviously you gotta stop and wait, which obviously there you have no time to because you're being chased by the boulder. And that's a piss take. But anyways, that's all the levels complete. For now in the first warp room. That's strange. Like originally there'd be like a Cortex, you know, Cortex would come up again and talk to Crash. Like congratulating you on getting all the 5 crystals. Be like, well done Crash, I knew I could rely on you. But you know. But anyways, now as you've noticed, the boss fight portal has been unlocked. And as you can see, they've locked the portals for the levels, so over here they pretty much, in the AAA remastered build for Crash 2, like they've pulled a Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, effectively, where they lock all the levels until you complete the boss fight, even though in the original Crash 3 you could still bypass that by exiting the boss fight as soon as you enter it. But anyways, yeah, now entering the first boss fight in the game, Ripperoo. Yet another piss easy boss fight. Now this one is really easy. All we gotta do is dodge all the TNTs, like pretty much all the TNT squares and Nitro squares that Ripperoo just lays on top of. And the extra details to Ripperoo and everything, like, they've really enhanced it a lot. Oh yeah, by the way, you can't, like, you know, bounce on top of him and go off the screen like you can in the original. Oh yeah, and in the background, you know, like, the details of all the bookcases and everything, it's so interesting. There's like a Crash book right there. There's a guide on how to beat the game for Ripperoo. Because, you know, he failed so miserably last time in beating Crash. I spun him and I stood on top of him as soon as I spun him, like, what the fuck? It just shows these physics just change the way it plays. the music, the remastered music sounds sick as well, I'm not gonna lie. Sounds like proper sick. And just like that, we've beaten Ripperoo. Professor Pulverized. Alright, now we're officially entering the second warp room. Alright, so now that we've officially beaten Ripperoo, well, in the original we would land straight in Warp Room 2, but obviously we have to, in this AAA remastered build, we have to go up from this platform, from Warp Room 1 to Warp Room 2.
I see that Ripperoo failed to prove much of a challenge yet again. But back to business. There are crystals to be gathered, 20 to be exact. The planets will align shortly, all 13 of them, and this will create a power great enough to rip the Earth apart. Properly utilized, however, the crystals can absorb and contain the energy.
Crash, is that you? I've been looking everywhere. I don't have much time to tell you this. You have to be careful. Trusting Cortex seems a little unwise, Crash. I can't keep the data path open much longer. Crash, you need to...
Wow, it's interesting how Coco's theme still plays right after the cutscene is over. It's like glitch much. Oh yeah, and speaking of Coco, here's Coco's time machine right here, which, you know, now that we've landed in Warp Room 2, we can officially unlock Coco as a playable character in Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back within this AAA remastered trilogy. So let's go ahead and unlock her, and obviously I'll be doing a whole separate playthrough of Coco Bandicoot for Crash 2 as well, just like I did with Crash 1, so let's bring Coco into the adventure. And of course, the same principle applies. Now before we end the part, I'm gonna score 10 extra lives on Polar right here. All you gotta do is bounce on top of him 10 times. It's glitching out for some reason. There we go. And just like that, we got 10 lives, and we also get a bonus trophy, a helping paw, which is effectively an Easter egg. It's interesting how, like, for each warp room there's different scenery. Like, the scenery is different per warp room, which I like how they did that for Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, which is, you know, really cool. But anyways, people, that's officially the end of part 10 of Let's Play Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy, so let's call it a wrap for now. And while Crash looks proper stoned, like the way I just fucking paused right at that moment there. But anyways, yeah people, that's officially part 10 coming to an end. Thanks for watching, I really hope you lot enjoyed this video. Feel free and be sure to subscribe, like or rate, however you want to put it. Drop a comment below to leave constructive feedback and or share it around with your friends and family, whoever they may be, and see you lot in part 11 of Let's Play Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy, where we start off with the second warp room of Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, and also perhaps see you in a new upcoming project whenever it may happen on this channel. But until then, see you lot in whatever's next on this channel. Laters everyone, peace out.